The lights were too warm on my face, but I kept my expression smooth. Behind me, a slideshow flicked through quarterly numbers and stock growth curves while the VP of Comms read out a paragraph someone else had written about me. Instrumental in cross-functional execution, exemplary team leadership. I tilted my chin just slightly upward. Across the room, David Hallstrom sat at the end of the front table, scrolling his phone with the easy detachment of someone immune to accountability. No smile, no nod, not even a glance. I stepped down from the stage. "Congratulations," Melissa whispered as I passed. Her voice was steady, but her eyes searched mine. "Thanks," I said, soft and measured. "You'll be up there next year." She smiled, cheeks flushing, then glanced at David. He didn't even look up, I noticed. We kept walking. Near the coffee station, I stopped to adjust my blazer, mostly to breathe. "You crushed it," came a voice behind me. Jordan from finance. Too loud, too rehearsed. We all knew it was you. Even Vegas would have refused to take odds. I smiled politely. "Thanks, Jordan." David's voice cut across the room. "Let's keep things moving. Lunch is in 30. Melissa leaned in. "Do you want to sit?" "No," I said. "I'll go say thank you to the board." I didn't. I walked outside instead. The cold air bit at my throat, and the wind off the courtyard made my blazer useless. I let it. Footsteps behind me. I almost called out his name, Melissa said, hands jammed into her coat pockets. Like, "Hey, boss, did you miss the part where she saved the partnership with Avenir? That would have made him look up," I said. He should have looked up without prompting. That's not how David operates. We stood in silence. The ceremony droned on behind glass, muffled applause rising every few minutes like an automated track. "You okay?" she asked, finally. I turned to her. "I am." This was expected. Melissa blinked. "You knew he wouldn't acknowledge it." I knew he couldn't. Why? I studied her face. She hadn't been here long enough to understand the politics beneath the polish. But she would. One day. Because people like David, I said, only applaud things they think they can control. She looked away, toward the windows. "So what do? We note the silence," I said, "and we act accordingly." Back inside, the buffet had opened. I moved with the crowd, exchanged brief thank yous with a few directors, nodded at interns trying not to look starved. David stood near the risotto tray, laughing with two execs. His watch gleamed under the overhead lights. I walked by without pausing. A few minutes later, he approached. I was at the beverage table, stirring tea. "Nice turnout," he said. I looked up, expression neutral. "Yes." He glanced down at my cup. "Chamomile? Jasmine? A beat. You handled the speech well. Didn't run long." "That was intentional." He laughed softly. "Well, good. Efficiency's your brand." I let the silence stretch. Finally, he cleared his throat. "You know, I pushed for your nomination." My eyes didn't leave his. "Did you?" "Of course. You've put in the hours. No one can argue that." "You didn't mention it." "Didn't think I needed to." I sipped my tea. "You're not mad, are you?" he added, light and joking. "Wouldn't want to lose my sharpest asset to ego wounds." "I'm not wounded," I said. He tilted his head. "Then what are you?" I set the cup down gently. "Observant." He paused, smile faltering. "Well, that's fair, I guess." "I think so." Another beat of silence, then he laughed again, too loudly. Always so precise. That's why you're a killer in Cubeers. I smiled without warmth. Enjoy your risotto, David. He blinked. Right? Of course. He turned, walking back toward his circle. I watched him for 3 seconds, then returned to my tea. Later, as people gathered coats and murmured goodbyes, Melissa found me near the lobby doors. Your driver's here, she said. Thanks. She hesitated. That was tense. Which part? The tea conversation. I glanced at her. It wasn't a conversation. It was confirmation. Of what? That he noticed. He just couldn't name it. And now he's not sure where I stand. She bit her lip. And where do you? Exactly where I was this morning. Just with more data. Data. I looked at her. Everything is data, Melissa. She nodded. Slowly, I pushed open the door, the cold wind catching my collar again. You should go, I said. Rest. You worked hard on that Avenir proposal. Thanks, she said. I mean it. I stepped into the waiting car as we pulled away. I didn't look back. Not at the building. Not at the people filing out. Not at David standing in the lobby with his hands in his pockets. I had already started rewriting the ending. I watched the bouquet wilt slowly on my desk. White tulips, clean and symmetrical. From Marianne Lowe. Her note was short. Proud of you. Knew you had it. A ping lit my screen. Another email. Amazing work, well deserved. Finally recognized. You crushed it. The list grew. Directors, analysts, to clients. Not David. Melissa leaned against the doorframe. They keep coming. I scrolled. 8 in the last hour. She crossed her arms. Still nothing from him? I shook my head. Her jaw tensed. Unbelievable. No. It's exactly who he is. A knock. Jordan Peakton. Just had to say legendary stuff. That presentation in Q3. Game changer. I still quote it. Thanks. He smiled at Melissa. Your deck work was tight too. Appreciate it. He left. The silence settled again. Melissa dropped her voice. Why does he do this? Because if he acknowledges me, he loses leverage. But the whole company saw it. You earned it. Earning and owning aren't the same in his world. Pause. Do you want me to ask him? No. Why not? Because I already know the answer. I passed him in the corridor just before lunch. He was laughing with 3 execs. Hand on someone's shoulder, eyes bright with performative ease. Good to see momentum in the right places, he said. Our bench is deep now. I kept walking. Later, I saw him outside the elevator. Just us. A rare gap. He glanced over. Busy day. Moderately. Recognition week always stirs things up. Good energy. For some, he smiled. The kind that doesn't reach the eyes. Well, you looked sharp yesterday. Always composed. I met his gaze. Anything you wanted to say? David, a beat. About. I raised an eyebrow. Come on. He shrugged. You've been doing solid work for a while. I figured that was understood. It's not. All right, he said, folding his arms. You want a formal congrats? No. I want clarity. His jaw tightened. What do you think I'm withholding? Let's not pretend you don't know. He laughed once, short. Okay, you want directness. Fine. I didn't send you a note or say anything because I didn't think you needed it. You didn't think, or you didn't want to. He straightened. You have a reputation. Unshakable. People like you don't need praise. People like me notice when credit is strategic. He stepped back, voice quieter. Are you accusing me of something? No. I'm confirming something. He shook his head. You've read this wrong. Have I? You think I'm trying to undermine you. I think you didn't want to validate the attention I earned, because it didn't originate from you. That's not true. But it's familiar. He hesitated. You're twisting this. I exhaled. I'm seeing it. The elevator opened. I stepped in. Melissa caught me in the kitchen later. I saw you two talking, she said. We weren't. How'd it go? Like stepping into fog. But I can see the shape of the mountain now. She nodded slowly. What do you want to do? I poured water into my mug. Think clearly. Move deliberately. No rage. No time. Back. At my desk, the tulips had begun to fall. One petal curled inward, soft and pale against the grain of the wood. David passed my door an hour later. Didn't stop. Didn't look in. He didn't need to. I had already felt the shift. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The office was empty. Friday, just past 8. Lights dimmed low. City noise softened behind the windows. I opened my folder, 6 quarters worth of strategy notes. Timelines, early versions no one else ever saw. The screen glowed with a deck David presented last month to the board. Melissa said this was mostly his work. I murmured. I pulled up my January draft, side by side. Slide 3. My phrasing. Stagger the rollout to test regional volatility before full market exposure. His. We recommend staggered rollout to assess volatility pre-expansion. Slide 6. My chart. Unchanged down to the mislabeled axis I'd corrected. Later. Slide 9. Client resistance is not personal, it's proof of misalignment in timing or offer. My line. Copied exactly. A door clicked. I shut the screen. Melissa stepped in, holding 2 coffees. You're still here. So are you? She handed me one. Double shot. You looked like you'd need it. I do. She sat. What are you digging into? Old decks. Mine? And his. She waited. I turned the monitor back around. See this phrasing? She leaned in. That's yours? Yes. And this? She pointed. Also mine. Word for word. She leaned back. Jesus. He used it in front of the board. I thought you collaborated on that. I wasn't in the room. He said I was consulted. She rubbed her forehead. That's not consultation. That's theft. No. I said. It's confirmation. Of what? That this wasn't about my tone or lack of humility. It was never personal. It was strategic. Melissa's voice sharpened. You mean political. Same result. You're going to confront him, right? No. Not yet. Why not? I turned another slide. Because this isn't enough. Not yet. Saturday morning, I pulled out my personal drive. Emails. Comments, edits, every project since the Owens bid, August. My memo on multi-tier pricing. David's update to legal. Time-stamped 2 days later, same structure, October. My voice. Notes on leveraging data visualization for mid-level execs. David's speech at the summit to bullet points identical. December. An internal draft labeled private, not shared, quoted. Nearly verbatim. In an investor pitch. I opened my calendar. Logged the references. Date. Context. Match type by noon. I had 12 Sunday night. I called Melissa. I need a favor. Name it. I need access to last April's PR deck archive. That's gated. You said last week your permissions expanded. She hesitated. You think it's in there. I think I need to be sure. Another pause. You're building something. I'm documenting. Same thing when it's you. Monday morning. She slipped me a drive. Folders labeled April preview. Took me 40 minutes to find. Thank you. She nodded. You're quiet. Focused. I'm tired of assumptions. At 7:03 p.m., I found it. Slide title. Narrative Matters Owning the First Interpretation. I opened my original note from March. Same phrase. Same structure. Even the example. Frame early traction as momentum, not outcome. I sat back. The quiet felt different now. Not betrayal. Not anger, just a switch flipping on. And everything becoming clear. Asterisk asterisk, the rooftop was all glass and expense. Waiters in black drifted between tables. Silver trays balanced like choreography. My dress itched slightly at the seams. Mark had declined the invite. Networking dinners aren't really my thing, he'd said without looking up from his phone. I was halfway through a glass of Tempranillo when David waved me over. Ethan, he said, clapping a hand on the man's back. I want you to meet the glue. The glue? Ethan asked. Amused, David gestured toward me. This is Claire. She held the whole thing together on your account. Without her, we'd have been patching leaks midstream. Claire, Ethan said warmly, extending his hand. Pleasure. We finally meet. Likewise. He looked me in the eye. Your rollout notes were razor sharp. We tripled projected engagement in 6 weeks. That was the goal? David chuckled. She's modest. But she's right, we hit every mark. Of course. It took the whole team. I always say Claire's the glue. But we built the structure. I smiled. And someone had to remember the nails. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Well said. David laughed. She keeps us honest. Apparently. David waved at someone across the room. Excuse me, CFO of Magellan's here. I'll let you to connect. As he walked away, Ethan sipped his scotch. Does he always package people like that? Only when there's an audience. He gave me a look. You landed us. That wasn't glue work. I took a sip of wine. You noticed. Of course. Your pitch deck. The segmentation logic. The onboarding timeline. That wasn't from a playbook. Not one he's read. He leaned in. Off the record. Always. He gave me a printout at the kickoff. It still had your tracked edits visible. I didn't speak. He told me you'd be supporting delivery. I watched the wine shift in my glass. I designed the delivery. I figured, but I needed to hear you say it. Why? Because I don't like being sold a product with the label peeled off. I looked up. You won't be. He smiled. Good. A pause. Is he always like that? He asked. David's fluent in credit assignment. Meaning? He speaks it like a native. Gives it away when it costs him nothing. Hoards it when it might buy him something later. Ethan nodded slowly. You're clear-eyed. Clarity keeps me sane. He glanced over his shoulder. And him? David? He stays sane by assuming no one's watching. But you are. I watch everything. Ethan's gaze lingered. Ever think of building your own firm? I blinked. That's a loaded question at a networking dinner. Consider it a compliment, not a pitch. I'll consider it. Another pause. Claire, he said, more quietly now, why haven't you said any of this to him? I held his gaze. Because I didn't need to. Until tonight. His expression shifted something like understanding. What changed? He did. I stepped away for air. The patio overlooked the skyline. I texted Mark, made contact with Rhodes. All fine, no reply. A voice behind me. You handled that. Well, I turned. David held a flute of champagne. Handled what? The Ethan intro. You let me set the frame, didn't fight it. Why would I fight the frame? He smiled. Because you're smart. And proud. I thought maybe you'd correct me. I don't correct things that don't matter. He studied me. Then we're still good. I tilted my head. We were never bad. Right? He exhaled. Just wanted to say don't take that line the wrong way. You know I value your input. Input. I repeated. He nodded. We're all part of the machine. And some of us are gears. Others are polish. He frowned. What's that? Supposed to mean? Nothing. David narrowed his eyes. You're not mad, are you? No. I'm awake. He laughed, uncertain. Well, let me know if you want me to flag you for the AI portfolio. Leadership's looking for someone. I'll consider it. I walked past him. Down the stairs. The sound of my heels clean against the stone. That was the moment I stopped working with him. Asterisk asterisk. I closed the tab on David's quarterly recap and turned to the spreadsheet. I'd been building in the background. Every project, every timestamp, every line he lifted. Evidence, organized but not weaponized yet. Melissa knocked once before stepping in. Quick. Always. She perched on the edge of the chair. Just got looped into the pitch for Kinross. David wants me on support. Support. Yeah. Says the client's high touch, and he wants me shadowing to observe. Are you prepared to lead it? Yes. Then that's what we'll make happen. She blinked. How? We start shifting the frame. The next morning, I stopped by legal double quotes to minutes. I said, nodding to Sarah, make it one. I'm buried. I need retro access to IP documentation on our Avenir delivery. Her brow lifted. Old news. It's about pattern protection. I'm cross-checking. She studied me, then opened a drawer. You didn't hear this from me, but you'll want to compare what went to ops with what David submitted to BD. Got it. Don't quote me. Never. I found Melissa in the kitchen. You're running Kinross. I thought you're running it. I'll set the meeting with Arjun. You'll walk him through your approach. Will David? He won't block it if it looks organic. She lowered her voice. Why are you doing this? Because I don't mentor potential. I deploy it. I invited Arjun Patel to coffee. VP. Dry sense of humor. Better eye for talent than he let on. She's good, I said. After 5 minutes of pleasantries. Melissa. She understands pacing. Reads a room faster than David edits a deck. Ambitious? Focused. He sipped. You think she's ready to present to Kinross. She already built the narrative. David's just reciting it. He smirked. You'd put your name behind her. I'm putting my time. He nodded. That means more. Back at my desk, the spreadsheet had grown. 14 projects. Slide comparisons. Emails. Dated notes. I added a tab. Implied authorship. A pattern, clean and damning. Melissa tapped on the doorframe. He wants to pre-review my draft for Kinross. What did you say? I said I'd send it by EOD. Good. Send him the safe version. Send me the real one. You sure? I'm strategic, not reckless. David stopped by my desk just before 5. Heard you've been in touch with Arjun. I have. About Kinross. About leadership. Alignment. He gave a tight smile. You're pushing Melissa hard. She's earned it. She's green. She's prepared. His eyes narrowed. You're moving pieces. I'm aligning talent. He leaned in. Careful. People notice power plays. They do. And they remember them. I met his gaze. That's the idea. At home, I opened the private folder I'd backed up to a clean drive. Labeled by quarter. Annotated with care. A record. Not a threat. Not yet. Mark glanced over his laptop. Still working. Just organizing. Something wrong? No. Just seeing things clearly. He nodded and returned to his screen. He didn't ask what I meant. He never did. By Friday, Melissa's pitch draft was stronger than anything I'd seen from David all year. She sat across from me, nervous. You think Arjun will let me lead? He won't just let you. He'll trust you. And if David interferes, then we make it public. Her eyes widened. You're not alone in this. She nodded slowly. What if I mess it up? You won't. And if you do, you'll learn faster than he ever did. She smiled, tight but real. You're setting something in motion, she said quietly. Yes. It feels bigger than me. It is. And you're ready. By the end of the day, the invite had gone out. Kinross Deck. Draft review. Lead. M. Tran. David didn't reply, didn't comment, but he didn't cancel it either. The shift had begun. Quiet. Strategic. Not revenge. Redirection. *. The email landed at 10:07 a.m. Subject. Organizational update. Strategic leadership realignment. He didn't open it. I didn't need to. Melissa appeared in my doorway with her phone in hand. You saw it. I did. Her mouth tightened. VP of Strategy. Yes. She hesitated. You okay? I'm scheduled with Janelle at 3. Her eyes widened. You're going through with it. I nodded. It's time. Janelle Carter's office was cool and restrained. Glass shelves. One photo, a single orchid. She looked up from her laptop when I knocked. Claire, she said, standing. Thanks for making time. Thank you for the invitation. We shook hands. Hers was dry, precise. Water? Coffee? No, thank you. She gestured to the chair. I've been reviewing your cue to strategy brief. Clear, elegant, and somehow not self-important. That's rare. Appreciate that. She leaned back. You asked for this meeting. I did. Go ahead. I opened the folder on my lap and slid it across. She didn't touch it. What am I about to read? 6 quarters worth of authored material and strategic outputs. Tracked edits. Slide decks. Corresponding attributions. Her expression didn't change. You're saying someone's claimed credit for your work. I'm saying David Hallstrom has systematically removed attribution verbally, internally, and externally over an 18-month period. She flipped the folder open. Why bring this to me now? Because now he's VP, and silence would make me complicit. Her brow lifted. That's a strong word. It's a precise one. She turned a page. This timeline. You logged all of this yourself. Yes. No assistance? No one else knew enough to document it cleanly. And the data. In these decks, this is yours. Originated, drafted, and executed by me. She read silently for a moment. You never reported it. No. I escalated to outcomes, not complaints. Still, this is serious. It is. She looked up. And you're not angry? I'm strategic. She closed the folder. Why come to me directly? You're neutral, and I need this reviewed without spin. Not asking for his job? No. Not asking for yours to be changed? No. She tilted her head. Then what are you asking for? Clarity. Accountability. and protection for the people who work with me. She was quiet. Then, "You're calm." I learned early that emotion makes it easy to discredit content. She tapped the folder. "This is hard to ignore. That's why I brought it back at my desk." Melissa hovered. "Well," she listened. "Did you tell her everything?" "Enough." Melissa exhaled. "What if it backfires?" "Then I learn who's really watching." At 6:15 p.m., my phone buzzed. One line: "Thanks for today. I'll be in touch." Janelle locked the screen in David's office. The lights were off. The corner title plate on his desk had already changed. VP, Strategy. I watched it for 3 seconds, then turned off the light. The conference room was full, but silent. I stood beside the screen, hands still, posture deliberate. The quarterly review had already run long logistics, projections, the usual performance gloss. I waited until they finished their coffee. Janelle nodded once from her seat. "Claire, you requested a short window. 15 minutes. Proceed." I clicked to the first slide. Q3 Impact Metrics. Attribution and Execution. This is a breakdown of the 6 projects that accounted for 61% of our revenue. Acceleration this year. I began. David shifted. I didn't look at him. Each case includes original ideation files, tracked drafts, and internal approvals. The goal is transparency. The question isn't who built them. It's how we define authorship. Slide 2. A table. Initiative, timestamp, lead contributor, execution date, all with linked files. My initials marked the draft origins. David's the final presentations. I didn't narrate that. "This," I said, clicking forward, "is from the Valence segmentation deck." Slide 3 loaded. It was presented to the board in January under the strategy office. The phrasing, "engagement follows confidence, not incentive," was flagged by 2 directors as original positioning. I brought up the note from my OneDrive, dated 3 weeks prior. "This line originated here." I let the silence breathe. Next slide. The second example is the client onboarding cascade. The visuals were identical between his deck and mine. Even the misaligned bullet indent. "I'm not raising this to reclaim credit," I said evenly. "I'm raising it because strategy depends on trust, internally and externally. Attribution isn't vanity. It's infrastructure." David cleared his throat. "Claire, I'll continue," I said, eyes on the room. Janelle gave him a slight look. He stopped. Slide 6. Avenir. The structural model was introduced as a team solution. This chart was repurposed from my private draft submitted for days earlier to legal for review. It wasn't acknowledged in the final. I clicked to a clean version showing all version history. Slide 7. Client outcomes improved. Retention improved, but internal transparency declined. Board members leaned forward. Someone scribbled a note. David sat rigid, expression unreadable. I reached the last slide. "Here are the contributors who ensured these outcomes. Their names were not included in the final roll-ups. They are here now." I revealed a list. No commentary. Melissa's name was third. Mine was first. Silence. I turned to face the room. "That concludes my update." Janelle folded her hands. Questions? No one spoke. After a moment, she looked at me. "Thank you, Claire." I closed the deck. "Thank you." I didn't glance at David as I walked back to my seat. I didn't need to. Everyone else already had. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I stepped into the hallway just as the finance team exited the boardroom. Laughter. Murmured plans for drinks. I kept moving. Claire. I stopped. David stood near the elevator, alone for once, hands still tucked into his pocket like it belonged there. I've been meaning to catch you. I waited. I should have said something after your presentation. I said nothing. He cleared his throat. You've done great work. Really. Thank you. I mean that. I know. A pause. His eyes searched my face. That deck was clean. Focused. I think it landed. It wasn't meant to land. It was meant to correct. He gave a soft chuckle. Awkward. Look. I know how it probably seemed. You do. Okay. I should have acknowledged your role sooner. I should have. He glanced away, handled things differently. Why didn't you? I don't know. That's not true. He looked back at me. You're right. I was protecting my own standing. I nodded. But that doesn't mean I didn't value your work. It means you valued control more. I was under pressure. Optics matter. Up there. And truth didn't. He sighed. It's not that simple. It is. I'm trying to fix it. No. I said. You're trying to absolve it. He flinched. I didn't expect this from you. You expected gratitude. I expected some understanding. I understand perfectly. He stepped closer. I'm saying I was wrong. I'm saying I don't care. He stilled. You don't. No anger. No need. Just done. That's cold. It's honest. Another beat of silence. So that's it? He asked. That's it. I'm still your boss. No. I said quietly. You're not. He looked down. You know, people will say this is personal. It was never personal. Then, what was it? Necessary. The elevator pinged. He didn't move. I stepped past him, calm and unhurried. He didn't follow. The room was smaller than the usual boardrooms. Glass walls. Low hum of filtered air. A few chairs pulled back. Coffee. Untouched. Melissa stood at the head of the table. No tremble. No wasted movement. Good afternoon, she began. Before I walk you through the structure, I want to be clear, we're not selling volume. We're selling clarity. Efficiency. By design. Ethan Rhodes, seated across from her, nodded slowly. Clarity's good. Keep going. She clicked to the first slide. This is your current engagement curve. Top heavy, short spiked, to reactive. He frowned. That's been our concern. I know. Which is why the redesign pivots the funnel. We flip the point of conversion. Instead of targeting by behavior, we target by resistance. Ethan's brow lifted. Resistance. Melissa smiled. The people most reluctant to buy in are the ones who need the most precisely shaped entry point. We study them, not the early adopters. Interesting, he said. That's not what the last agency proposed. I'm not the last agency. I watched from the back. Hands folded. Still. Invisible. On purpose. Go on, Ethan said. Melissa moved to slide 3. We built a 3-tier signal map. Top funnel is weighted toward passive resistance. Middle funnel captures delay, logic, budget, bandwidth, competing priorities. Bottom funnel focuses on conversion timing. She looked him in the eye. We don't push. We predict. He let out a short breath. How long did it take to build this? 3 weeks. Most of it came from patterns I'd already flagged. During the Kinross audit. You did that audit yourself? Yes. And this model, David said, it came from strategy. She didn't flinch. David asked to see my notes. I sent them after the model was complete. He glanced at me. You co-signed this. I nodded once. Fully. Melissa continued. The beauty is in the layering. The language we use on each funnel shifts subtly: tone, pacing, verb choice. We tested it against your last campaign set. Click-through increased 14%. Dwell time increased 22%. Ethan turned to his colleague. Those numbers check out. Confirmed, she said, flipping her notes. Melissa paused. Final slide. Metrics to watch. If we're successful, these numbers will flatten, not spike. That's how you'll know it's working. Ethan leaned back, quiet for a moment. You're not just pitching. You're explaining how we win. Melissa smiled. That's the goal? He looked at me again. How long have you to work together? Long enough. Well, he said, standing, I think we've found our lead. Melissa rose, shook his hand. Thank you. As the clients left, she turned to me. I didn't oversell, did I? No, I said. You owned it. I was scared. You didn't show it. She smiled, wide and real. It felt good. I know. We walked out together, quiet for a few beats. You gave me a real shot. She said. I gave you the space. No one's ever done that. They will now. And I meant it. Asterisk, the drawer stuck. Same as always. I pulled gently until it gave way, then reached for the folder beneath the tax envelopes. 12 pages. UNSENT, subject. Effective immediately. David, you don't deserve my silence. But I'll give it to you anyway, to whom it may concern. I know. Longer work beneath men who shrink when I rise. Mark, I needed more from you. You didn't notice I stopped asking. I smoothed each sheet against the desk. Familiar loops. Sharp corners in the margins. Rage made neat. Mark stepped into the doorway, holding a glass. You're still up. I'm clearing out. He looked at the papers. Work stuff. Old things. You okay? I am. He leaned against the doorframe. You've seemed different lately. Define different. Less tense. Or maybe less here. I met his eyes. You think those are different things? He gave a faint shrug. I don't know. No. I said. You don't. He held the silence, then looked down. Want me to leave you alone? I already am. He nodded once, turned, and left. I picked up the top page, an unsent message to HR, bulleting 6 years of slights. The second was a line-by-line rebuttal to David's performance review from last winter. The third started with, you took what I built and called it yours. That one had 3 rewrites. The fourth was just a list of names, people who'd seen and looked away. The fifth was blank. I shredded that one first. Each sheet fed into the machine cleanly, quietly. I didn't hesitate. The words had done what they needed. Held me together when no one else did. The drawer closed without catching. Asterisk, the call came at 10:14 a.m. Unknown number. Montreal area code. Claire speaking. A smooth voice, older, deliberate. Claire Bennett. Ava Sinclair. I stood. Yes, thank you for calling. I don't waste time, so I won't ask for a pitch. I've read your work. I've asked about you. I know what you did at Caro. And what do you think I did? You created structure, then removed yourself from the center of it. That's rare. I sat back down. And valuable. Extremely. What are you looking for? Someone who understands tempo, who doesn't chase noise. We need strategy with spine. What's the firm? We don't name it on first calls. If that's an issue, we're misaligned. It's not. We're based in Montreal. Expansion into markets. The role is head of innovation. Clean slate. Your call. I paused. What would the first 6 months look like? You listening, sharpening the tool before swinging it. And what's the timeline? You'd start the 1st of next month. No public announcement. None. Unless you want one. I breathed in. Then yes. I accept. Ava exhaled. Good. Will I report to you? Eventually. I smiled. I look forward to that. I chose the right person, she said, and hung up. I didn't tell anyone. That afternoon, no emails, no calendar blocks. At 6, I put on my coat and stepped outside. I walked east, past the station, the closed florist, the newsstand. My phone buzzed once. I didn't look. By the time I reached the park, the air had cooled. The city lights painted long reflections in the river. I sat on the bench by the bridge and smiled. Quiet. Unexplained. Enough. Asterisk. The hotel suite was quiet, save for the soft thrum of the city below. Curtains half drawn. Room service tray cleared. A single lamp on. I stepped out of the shower, wrapped the robe around me, and walked to the vanity. The mirror caught me not by surprise. Not in critique, just there. Clear. I leaned in slightly. Eyes steady. Mouth relaxed. No tightness in the jaw. No defensive lift in the chin. Just me. I heard my phone buzz once in the next room. I didn't move. Later, dressed and calm, I stood by the window and dialed room service. Can I help you? The voice said, double quotes, yes. I'd like a pot of jasmine tea. Of course. Anything else? No. I hung up. Another buzz. I walked over. David heard. The news. Montreal suits you. Congrats. No punctuation. I set the phone down. I poured the tea when it arrived, thanked the server, and returned to the mirror. You don't want to answer him? I asked out loud. My voice didn't echo. No. I replied, quietly. Why? Because it doesn't matter anymore. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my notebook. No to-do list. No plan, just a line. I kept my name. He spent his. I closed the book. The mirror caught me again when I walked past. Not smaller. Not harder. Not colder, just whole. I didn't destroy him. I didn't need to. I had outgrown him. And that was always the point. Asterisk.